Good morning. My name is Mart in Johnston. I'm a PhD student at Takushoku University, and I'm also a lecturer in Tokyo. Today, I'm going to discuss the results of my study entitled A Comparison of Text Analysis, Levels of Agreement and Disagreement. Although a wide range of metrics for assessing text difficulty exists, it's unclear whether they classify texts consistently. For example, Hermosa argues that different formulas are likely to yield varying scores when other variables are taken into account. Halster and his colleagues and Arai use student perceptions to demonstrate that the correlation between indices and difficulty can vary significantly. Well, to test these claims, it would be beneficial to analyze the same texts using multiple classification schemes to see if their ratings align. Online text analysis tools have simplified the process of determining the readability and evaluating difficulty based on vocabulary and sentence structure. This study aims to assess the level of agreement among several available online tools and identify the factors that influence text difficulty. Let me talk about the text materials that I used. I used 75 reading texts of the Aiken Grade 2. Aiken is a popular proficiency test in Japan. Aiken Grade 2 is intended for high school graduates in Japan. I used the tests administered from 2018 until 2022. Here is a sample of an Aiken Grade 2 text. For text analysis, I removed the comprehension questions as well as the options. For gap fill passages, I completed each passage with the correct answers. Here are the online text analysis tools used in the study: Text Inspector, CVLA, Lexile Analyzer, and AntWord Profiler. First, Text Inspector. With Text Inspector, you can use it for free for up to 250 words. However, the fee is around 10 British pounds for longer texts. And if you wish to access the English vocabulary profile, academic word list, and scorecard of CFR levels, which I will discuss further later. Text Inspector was used to determine the text's word counts, average sentence lengths, Flesch reading ease scores, Flesch Kincaid grade levels, and scorecards or CFR levels. Regarding Flesch reading ease scores, it was important to determine the equivalent grade level for each Flesch reading ease score. The grade level assignments are based on the US education system. For example, a readability score of between 0 to 30 would mean that the text is appropriate for college graduates, and anything that's between 90 to 100, so it means that the text is very easy and suitable for grade 5 students in the US system. Regarding CFR levels assigned by Text Inspector, the tool relies on over 200 metrics such as readability, lexical diversity, and lexical sophistication. However, it is important to note that it does not refer to the CFR framework. It uses corpora such as the BNC and the COCA and word lists in categorizing word items in a text according to their difficulty levels, such as the academic word list and the EVP or the English vocabulary profile. Next is the CVLA or CFR-based vocabulary level analyzer. CVLA is a free online system that assigns CFRJ levels to a text. CVLA, the tool was designed for English education in Japan. They also have their word list created by Tono. Their corpus was developed from primary and secondary textbooks in China, Korea, and Taiwan. A1 up to B2 level word items were extracted from TONU's word list. However, for C level words, they also refer to the EVP. Factors such as readability index, verbs per sentence, average word difficulty, and the ratio of B level to A level content words all play a role in determining a text's CFRJ level. The average scores derived from these metrics are combined and translated into one of 12 levels, ranging from pre-A1 to C2. Although CVLA primarily focuses on single word items, its other indices help to address this limitation. Next is the Lexile Text Analyzer. With Lexile Analyzer, the annual fee is about $18. The features include determining the Lexile measure range for texts and identifying key vocabulary and Lexile measure of books by chapter. Lexile Analyzer looks into the word frequency and sentence length of a text. A score of 200 or below indicates that a text is for a beginner reader, while a score of 1,200 or above suggests that the text is for advanced readers. The last tool is called Ant Word Profiler by Lawrence Anthony. This is a freeware tool for profiling the vocabulary level and complexity of texts. Ant Word Profiler determines the total coverage of a text and is dependent on word frequency. There are other word list options, but I chose the NGSL or New General Service List and the academic word list in this study. I imported these lists into the software. To analyze the total coverage scores, I used Loeffler's principle, where any text that is 95% or above is enough for comprehension. 95% or above, like total coverage, is enough for comprehension. Let me now discuss the results of the study. I will begin with the scores obtained by each of the 75 texts in terms of their word counts, average sentence lengths, Flesch reading ease scores, Flesch Kincaid grade levels, Lexile grades, token coverage, their CFR and CFRJ levels. And this will be followed by the correlation scores among these factors. You can see here that the tests were administered in 2018. Every year, Aiken tests are given 3 times or in 3 terms. Each test includes 5 passages, which I have labeled A, B, C, D, and E. In the second column, you can see the word counts of the texts, followed by the average sentence lengths, and then Flesch Kincaid grade levels, followed by Lexile grades, and then Flesch reading ease scores, and then next to them would be Flesch reading ease grade levels, total coverage, and then CVLA's CFRJ level assignment, and then text inspector's level CFR levels. Let me explain each score. For example, 2018 1A text has 270 words with an average sentence length of 15.88, indicating that there are typically about 15 or words per sentence. The Flesch Kincaid grade level is 8.26, which means that the text is more suitable for 8th grade students in the US system. Using the Lexile Analyzer, the text is classified as suitable for grades 3 and up to grade 7, also within the US school system. Due to limited space, however, I removed the Lexile scores and recorded their equivalent grade levels instead for easier analysis. The Flash Reading E-score for the 2018 1A text is 64.16, which corresponds to grades 8 to 9, similar to its Flash Kincaid grade level and close to the Lexile grade as well. The total coverage is 96.3%, indicating that it contains enough frequent words for comprehension. The CFRJ level is at B2.1, while Text Inspector assigned a B2 level to the text, suggesting it is moderately difficult despite meeting the token coverage requirement. So these are some other results. Once again, my research covered Aiken tests administered from 2018 until 2022, which is why I was able to analyze 75 texts in total. The word counts for the first two texts, A and B, range between 255 and 276. The email texts, or C passages, have the lowest word count, ranging from 201 to 240. We can assume that C passages generally receive the lowest scores, even with other measures, probably due to their low word counts, making them the easiest among the 5 passages. The longest texts are D and E with 334 to 373 words. Therefore, we can hypothesize that they are the most difficult texts. In terms of Flash Kincaid grade levels, the texts are appropriate for grades 8 to 9 in the US school system. Lexile scores are suitable for grades 5 up to 10. Because of these results, we can tell that Lexile and Flash Kincaid agree at some level. Regarding token coverage, only 27 out of 75 texts obtained 95% or more of total coverage. This means that the majority of the texts contain more unfamiliar words. Now, when CVLA and Text Inspector are compared in terms of their CFR levels or CFRJ levels, what's moderately difficult for Text Inspector is very difficult for CVLA. Take a look at our earlier slides. We can see that the highest CFRJ levels assigned by CVLA is at C1, but the highest level for Text Inspector is B2 plus only. Well, despite their differences, however, both tools assigned B2 and B2.1 to the majority of the texts. Here are the Pearson's correlation scores between the measures used. WC stands for word count, followed by average sentence length, then Flash Kincaid grade level, Lexile grades, Flash Reading E scores, Flash Reading E scores grade levels, token coverage, CFR assigned by Text Inspector, CFRJ assigned by CVLA. Just a quick look, the measure that has the weakest correlations the measure that has weakest correlations to scores is token coverage. I will explain later why. On the other hand, Flash Reading Ease and Flash Kincaid grade level have the strongest correlation at negative 0.949. Let's proceed to the discussion of the results. Word count has moderate correlations with Flash Kincaid grade level and Flash Reading Ease score. Flash Kincaid grade level and Lexile have strong negative correlations with Flash Reading Ease score. Negative correlations because the higher the flash reading ease score, the less difficult the text is. But we can see here that flash Kincaid grade level and Lexile have stronger correlation scores with average sentence lengths. This means that although earlier we thought that fewer words would mean easier texts, but now we can say that sentence length is a better measure for text difficulty than word count. Flash Kincaid grade level and Lexile have strong correlation, probably due to both using sentence length as one of their measures. However, average sentence length has only moderate correlation score with flash reading ease. Well, flash reading ease has also a similar correlation score with word count. Token coverage has weak correlations as it focuses only on word frequency. There is a strong correlation between Text Inspector CFR and Flash Kincaid grade level, most probably because Text Inspector uses over 200 metrics, including readability, such as Flash Kincaid. Also, Text Inspector's CFR shows a strong correlation with CVLA's CFRJ levels, possibly because of their reliance on word lists. However, one might have expected that CFR and CFRJ could have had a higher correlation score than 0.639, or similar to Flash Reading Ease and Flash Kincaid. Although both Text Inspector and CVLA were dependent on word lists and corpora, each of them used other metrics and formula. Earlier, we mentioned the Text Inspector uses over 200 metrics to assign CFRJ levels. CVLA, on the other hand, is dependent on calculation of content words. Our conclusions are as follows. We have learned that the text levels for second language classrooms are typically several levels lower than those in the U.S. education system. While Aiken Grade 2 texts are suitable for high school graduates in Japan, they are only equivalent to grades 8 to 9 texts in the U.S. education system. Flash Kincaid and Flash Reading ease scores have the strongest correlation because of both of them use syllable, sentence, and word counts as textual measures, despite having different formulas. Total coverage has weak correlations with other indices because it only focuses on word frequency, or it does not consider other textual measures. Therefore, this research tells us to integrate various textual tools, consider multiple factors when evaluating our reading materials. In this way, we can make more informed decisions when selecting appropriate materials for our students. Now, here are my main references for my study. Once again, my name is Mart Johnston. Thank you very much.